Howdy, howdy.
How are you?
Good.
Ready to go?
Okay. So I was really interested in your selection of great heroes, especially in light of the new project that you're on, the new company that you've launched, and the new tool, Deep Trust AI. And so, in honor of that, what I did was find a couple of statements from each of your heroes that you designated specific to truth.
Ooh.
And I want to read them to you, and I want you to tell me how these heroes that you study and that you aspire to be more like uh, would see what you're developing right now and what their take would be.
For sure.
That
That'd be
sound
great.
interesting?
Yeah.
Okay, so you designated as your great heroes uh, Jesus, Mary Baker Eddy, Marcus Aurelius, Plato, Aristotle, and Da Vinci.
Good group. Yep.
Tell me why you picked those first, and then I'll tell you what I found from them.
I think that great wisdom comes from great perspective. And I picked them because of their particular ability to embrace the world as a whole,
Mhm.
to have mission and purpose be their driving forces. In most cases, they were also um, super, from what I can tell, kind of humble in their awareness of that they can't, as Socrates shares, the greatest thing that I know is I know nothing at all. It's the sense of their humility and yet still greatness all in one, and the impact they had on the world. So Jesus, we know that story. Gandhi, we know that story. Mary Baker Eddy, maybe not as much, but she had over 30,000 instantaneous healings in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And then you have Da Vinci and Marcus Aurelius with their mastery of multiple areas of the world and the great wisdoms that came from Marcus Aurelius and in the Stoic philosophy. So having these deep wisdoms and like kind of perspectives on life give me a greater richness about what I'm trying to do. And I think that they're also deeply trusted personas, right? And so what I'm really working to reconnect the world back to is trust. And I find a lot of value in that from their wisdom. That's why I've ended up where I'm at. It's not so much my sourcing as much as what I've researched and got feedback from.
How would you define trust?
I mean, there's so many ways to define trust, but
Mhm.
I think trust is a combination of um, authenticity, consistency, and reliability. That's how I would define it. And when you think about someone that's really trustworthy to you or interacts with you, and you think about those people you take the shirt off your back for and help out in any situation, they're people that
Mhm.
were authentically there for you when you maybe didn't need it, when they didn't need to be. They did stuff that wasn't motivationally driven, right? But they also were consistent with that, and then they were reliable in those times of needs. Those are the things I see most. So I might meet somebody, have a great experience with them, met them at an event, whatever, but there doesn't mean that we have a deep trust together, even though we had a great experience together.
Very helpful. Why do you think all of the heroes that you designated are historical? Does does
I have a
trust
lot
and
more
truth?
heroes. Yeah, I have a lot of heroes. I just want to make that
Mhm.
list, 100 people long.
But why do you think, for you personally, so many of them are ancient?
They've stood the test of time, right? So
Mm.
we have wise people that haven't stood the test of time in history's eyes, right? So I don't know if certain billionaires are worth trustworthy or not, right? I don't know if certain even recent, individuals that have shaped history. I don't. What's their view? What's the view of them going to be in the next 100 or 200 years, right? So that's why I go through more of And Mary Baker is not that ancient, early 1900s, but for the rest of them, they are all ancient, right? And
They really
so,
are, yeah.
yeah, because I really do value healing and truth and spiritual awareness with the worldly impacts, right? And so that's why I picked who I picked.
Fascinating. Um, so with regard to the new technology, the the focus of the technology is actually ancient. It's just a new way to make it more efficient, more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, we
But
didn't,
the
and
idea of trusted relationships,
it's
there's
not new.
nothing new to that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. All right. And the challenge that the modern era runs into with trust is the capacity of the limits of trust within interactions, right? So if you think about this, like, in the even before the internet, before phones, right, we were pretty limited to our circle of influence around us, our ecosystem,
Hmm.
the events we went to. That was our world. But now we live in this like digitally expanded world, and we spent the last 10 years in the internet going for more and more and more. Connect more. LinkedIn, get as many connections as you can. Like Facebook, how many connections? Like not everybody did it, but
Yeah,
for the professional space, that's kind of like that was the
for
philosophy.
sure.
And in doing so, we've expanded our networks, but we've lost trust in the journey and we've lost connectedness. And now in an era, we're now moving into more of a and the AI era, right? Which is more automation, more which is depersonalizing things. Then we went through COVID, and that was all about disconnecting and separating us, and it did a really great job at all that. So people are yearning for more connectivity. So you'll see the event spaces blowing up right now. There's more people wanting to go to places and do things. However, there's the depth, the richness of that in the digital ecosystem doesn't really exist. So my DeepTrustAI is really built to help you manage that really deeply authentic network, not the thousands of people you may have in your LinkedIn or Facebooks and socials profiles, but the 100 or 200 or even 50, whatever that number is. I know that my grandparents would love this, but they probably have 5 people, maybe 10 people in that network right now at this point,
Yeah,
right? And but
right,
but so that they can know what's going on in their family's world, so that you can know what's going on in the people you care most about in their world, what's going on. And so you can treat the 200th person in your network like the first, second, or fifth or 10th, because you can manage 5 to 15 people pretty well. But beyond that,
right.
are you really?
Tough.
Right. And even if you think you are, I don't know if you've ever done this exercise, but I've serviced over 350 companies over the past 15 years, helping them in their growth strategy. And one of the most untapped market is their personal friends. They don't actually know what they do. It's actually extraordinary how many people in their immediate, like 20-person circle have no idea what they did, and they were really great fits for each other. And so we'd always start there. And that was just like one of the eye openers for me, which was, oh, well, if your deepest network doesn't know what you do, then how well does the extended network know what you do? And so unless we have the ability to share that. And so LinkedIn has some versions of that. Social media has some versions of that, but not at the
Right,
depths that people really focused on. So our platform enables that authentic interaction and awareness of what each other are doing, and it excludes anything outside of the noise of those really authentic relationships.
brilliant. Okay, so um, some of these statements from your heroes are like devil's advocate kind of statements that I think are pretty funny in a modern twist. And then some of them are what you would expect a statement on trust to be. So I think I'm going to start with Da Vinci. You
All
ready?
right, sure.
Okay. So Da Vinci says, "He who lives trusting dies betrayed."
Oh, that's rough.
Ooh,
Yeah, good one. Good one. Yeah. Well,
I mean, to be fair, he trusted a lot of people and he
yes, he
did
did.
die feeling pretty betrayed by a number of those people.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
I'm
true.
wondering, one, what your take is on that, but two, how utilizing a systematic approach that's technology enhanced into a human interaction might actually address some of these concerns that would come up from this statement from Da Vinci.
Hmm. That's deep.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
So I think that that's true, but to live without trust is also to be betrayed, right? Like so you don't, there's no option. We have to trust. And and yes, you'll be betrayed, and some people won't be betrayed. And it's just his personal experience, and that was a take on his own life's experience, and with trust certainly. But having a technology that enables trust scores and enables trust validity that sits behind it. So, there can be flags. There can be a later system that says, "Hey, this is going to drop." But our system's not really built like that. What our system's built for is the only way you get access to somebody is through a referral. So if they're out there losing trust with people, then those referrals aren't going to happen, right? So you reference your deepest trusted network to get to the referrals of the people that you want to interact with. And that's a self-destructive activity. So if someone's in the game of betrayal in a deep trust network, that's going to spread like wildfire, and that person will be executed from that network very quickly, right? Or expelled from that network very quickly. It's almost self-fulfilling in a way, So, but I still believe this is I'm a super trusting person, right? I'm gonna love you as God's child no matter what happens, but I did get wise advice, right? Trust but verify. So if you're gonna work with somebody, take it to a different level and verify what you're doing.
So I'm on your homepage,
Okay.
and maybe you could speak to just the overall need for a tool like this that gives you a way to visualize what your deep trust network actually is, where the values lie, where there are elements in here, like behavioral insights and reporting, things that give you an opportunity to really understand without taking the personal risk, because it is for business. It's to validate those relationships. It's not intended for a friend network, right?
It can be both. Yeah, it's your deepest trust networks, right? So
Okay.
what I envision the platform, I envision the platform being like this little pulsating ball of light that's called DT, and DT is your personal assistant. And Dr. Kim, you say each morning to wake up and say, "Hey, DT, I have a few things I want to focus on today. These are the things. If my network can help me at all, would you let me know?" And it's going to then search for those goals or ask you some clarifying questions
Hmm.
about your professional goals for the day or whatever they might be. And DT
Hmm.
is going to say, "Hey, you might want to talk with so and so and so and so in your first degree network. They could probably help you with this goal or that goal. This person is connected to so and so, which would be a great referral for that. You might want to ask her for that referral. Would you like me to draft that for you?" And before you brush your teeth, you're on the way to leveraging the insights and the power of your personal network to enrich your business experience. And by the way, this is what we already do as professionals, right? As professionals, what do we do? If we're trying to find a new client, we're trying to raise capital, we're trying to find an investment opportunity, we're trying to get a job, we're trying to hire somebody, we want a vendor, we want an insight on something, we need some expertise on another thing. What do we do? Well, who in my network do I know that knows that? And we do that by memory right now. And some people maybe use LinkedIn a little bit for that, but it's got so many false positives. It's not very great at that process. And it's not really inherently great because the users don't trust the platform enough to give the platform that much insight. So when you limit the scope of what you're doing to just the people you care most about, inherently, I want to now tell DT about, hey, these are my goals right now. I'm really focused on this, this, and this. And then DT can clarify and enhance that, and so that she can go find in your network or your network's network the best paths to answering those questions. Now, inherently, it's a very intimate tool. It's very personal, and it's there to help you solve daily problems with your personal network that you didn't and aren't able to do with traditional UI experiences and other platforms.
So one of the things that you describe inside of the tool is the trust coefficient.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So I spent 15 years um, driving over 100,000 C-suite meetings with over 80% of the Fortune 500 C-suite executives. We landed a call with one of our clients with Elon Musk and Tim Cook on a 15 paragraph text only email. Now you think about that, you're like, how is that even possible? There's no way that's true. Well, we proved it time and time again because we would always have to split test short form copy against what we call short long form copy. And the psychology that sits behind that is the psychology that sits behind our trust transfer coefficient. And essentially, the trust transfer coefficient is it's a score that all of us carry in terms of our influence and authority in the market. Okay, so what this means is, I'll give two examples. I'll give one person is a connector, just a guy that knows everybody. Don't Nobody really knows what he does, but he's a connector, right? And he gave me 3 referrals last year. Okay, all of those referrals canceled before the call happened. Okay. Now you take over here, my colleague Tammy, who's on my board of advisors and runs a $1 billion tech firm. She's given me 7 referrals in the last 2 months. Guess what? All of them showed up with. They all responded within an hour. They all showed up to the meeting, and I'm doing something relevant with all of them. Wow, that's called a
Very
trust
different.
transfer coefficient. So when you have a network of
Wait,
friends,
say that again. I think
so
that's a really important concept. Trust transfer coefficient.
it's about trust transfer, right? How does trust transfer between parties? And what people don't, not all referrals are equal. You have a salesperson introducing up to a CEO that's not equal to a peer of that CEO making an introduction. So understanding in your network who's connected to who has that relationship, and who has the highest TTC score in that group, that's the person you ask for the referral from. And you can grow your TTC score, right? Like you as a professional, like let's fast forward 50 years and most things are AI automated, right? So what's the value we carry as a human, right? It's our TTC score. It's our trust transferability into networks for deal flow. And that's based on authority, influence, access, and trust. And so if you understand those 4 core things, there's more to it than that. It's more psychological things that sit under that. But those are the main 4 things that sit in a TTC score. When you understand how that moves markets, then you can build influence markets. Like we have a sister company called DeepTrustOS through Affinity Solutions, our parent company. And DeepTrustOS is the process of how do you identify 10 to 20 people that carry influence with 50% of your entire buyer market, and you can get them aligned to your business through like a board of advisors or directors or some combination therein, and create alignment. You will never look for business again, ever, because you have access to 50% of the market through this 15 to 25 people. It's unbelievable, right? So I applied that same philosophy for our business. We've had intros to Mark Benioff in the last couple of weeks. We've had intros to leaders at Accenture and leaders at Siemens and leaders at US Foods and all these big companies for our technology opportunity. And I haven't had to do any of that. I've had over what now I'm probably pushing 70 referrals since I set this process up for investment opportunity, for deal flow opportunity, etc. And I'm not trying to go get it. It's coming to me because people are excited about the journey, right?
That's beautiful. Oh,
So you,
so I'm looking on your site, and uh, our buddy Jeff
yeah,
is
got
front and
lots of
center there. That's beautiful. Deep Trust AI is pioneering the next category in enterprise growth, trust enablement. Expand on trust enablement.
So I actually think so. A level up from trust enablement is called a trust infrastructure, and I think that if we fast forward another 50 to 100 years in the future, we're going to look at organizations very different than we are today. We have sales divisions, marketing divisions, operating, right, all these things. But and you kind of, I think we've kind of ran this course of like the culture movement and so forth in business over the past many years. And I've consulted, like I said, over 320 companies on growth strategy. And what comes to mind and the insight of what I have learned from some research that I'm happy to share if you want to dive into it is that there's probably 3 to 5 major categories that are going to emerge over the next 20 to 50 years as our whole workforce gets replaced with robots and AI. And there's going to be aspects of business that don't get replaced, but the piece of that that doesn't is the relational piece. The part at the for the big deals, for the higher end sales that require deeper relationships to want to do business together. And that's going to be that sits in this trust infrastructure. So if you look at how organizations move and achieve goals, what are the three big things they're always after? Capital, deals, and talent, right? Well, the center of all three of those is trust networks. And so if you don't build a trust infrastructure the right way for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're going to fall apart because it can be automated, right? But you can't automate a trust infrastructure. So the value for anybody listening, right? Your own personal profession, your job is to understand who the company's looking to engage with and become the centerpiece of those relationships. Be the person that those people trust. Be the person that is in the center of the organization because you are part of that trust network. That's the future of business. So when I say trust enablement platform, it is the first of what I think will be 5 technologies that will emerge in this trust infrastructure space that will enable an organization to build it at the center of its business, and then everything that they want to achieve centers around that. It's the hub of the wheel. And so trust enablement is one of the spokes to enable monitoring, managing, engagement, and enhancement of those deepest trust relationships with clients, with investor relations, with vendors, with anybody in their network in a way that allows them to be authentically engaged and not tactically engaged, which is what we've been pushed into as business, which is tactical focus. It's a numbers game. It's not a numbers game. It's a relational game. Here's why I know that. I would set up, I set up over 100,000 meetings. On average, my clients would get 100 to 300 meetings per year with their ideal client profile, usually C-suite, right? Now, what do you think their close rate was?
You don't match the models. So I'm not falling into that
Okay,
because
fine. So,
I've known you for
so,
a long time.
all right.
You cheat the systems of LinkedIn, which I love. Nope, let me rephrase that. You
Nice. Awesome.
utilize the
Awesome.
existing setup of LinkedIn, of email, of you just do things right. And you know where the holes are, you know where the opportunities are, you know how to access the psychological and emotional drivers. So I have no idea what yours were. I know what the typicals are, but I'm going to
Well,
guess yours were higher,
so look, in getting the meetings, our numbers were off the charts, right?
right?
When we had open rates at 50, 60%, and we'd have response rates
Those
of
were good
25,
days.
25% response rates, and of those 25% of the responses would take a meeting. That changed
Right.
with AI over the last 4 years, but the most important thing wasn't that. It was the meetings that showed up only closed at a 3% or lower rate, with the exception of 2 clients of mine that had 30% conversion rates. And the reason that they did is they were masters of trust development. They could build rapport so powerfully. I couldn't train my clients on how to figure that out. I tried for 2 years to get them to figure it out. And it wasn't inherent. And it wasn't because they weren't trying. They're C-suite to C-suite. They carried credibility and authority, but they didn't carry trust. There was nothing transferring trust to them, so only time could take care of that. And they weren't good at nurturing, so then they lose the leads, right? So trust was the variable that was missing in the deal flow. Why do I know that? Because I interviewed them and I found out that with 20 referrals, they would close 10 of the deals. And with 200 leads from me, they might close 6, maybe if they were lucky, right? So you think about that, you're like, wait a minute, that's like a lot less effort for a lot bigger impact. And the deal size was higher, the close cycle was shorter, the conversion rate was obviously higher, right? So I was like, wow, this is actually extraordinary. So the reason that we built Deep Trust OS and Deep Trust AI, the reason that those are in play now is because trust is the catalyst for deal flow. Trust is the catalyst for infrastructure that works. It's not a numbers game. It's a relational game. It's a game of trust. It's a game of helping one another in the most authentic ways. A reframe on how we think about business altogether, actually, because we've been taught to build the widget, sell the widget, pitch the widget, advertise the widget, do all those things. Great. Okay. That works. But let me ask you a question. If I could help you create a relationship with an individual and you're a consumer based company, and that one individual had authority, access, trust, and influence over 10 million consumers and could press a button and you could be in front of all of them with massive authority and with their endorsement versus you doing an ad campaign to 10 million people. Which one's cheaper? Which one's faster? Which one has more results? Same thing in the B2B space, right? If we could find that one person that carries influence with 1,000 of our buyers and they could endorse us, like I've had now with 3 times with one of my board members who's put me in front of thousands of people already, right? Which are almost all my buyers, and has introduced me to Mark Benioff and all these big time heads of sales all over the place, right? I couldn't do that without his endorsement because he's transferring his trust. He made one of these guys $82 million through an introduction, right? That person's going to take the call, right? He's going to take the call. That's exactly what's happened. So there's a lot of psychology that sits behind this. And if you as a company embrace the power of building a trust infrastructure with the way that we show you how to do that, and you can make that the center of your business, you will never be without lead flow again. You will never be the one that's out of demand. People will run to you. The market will push you forward. I've now been invited to 2 stages to present digitally on 2 stages where there was over 2,000 applicants. I didn't even apply. Didn't even apply. Why? Because the website speaks the truth, right? There's
Mhm.
a positioning model that all companies can design for themselves, and when they do it right, and you set up those 7 infrastructure leg pieces, when you set up those 7 infrastructures, the world will run to you. They'll promote you. They want you to win, and that's what we have to do. Get out of the old school model of direct response, which I was a master in, and get into the attraction model by understanding how relationships and trust move through networks. All right, I've spoken enough. What's your next question?
Can we go back to the data?
Yeah,
So I hope you published this.
I did.
Okay, so I need to see that, but later. So inside of all of the people that you built those programs for, you have that small group of them that really excelled and performed way
Two.
too.
Two
Okay.
out of 320-ish companies.
So run the numbers again for me of the referral rates, the closing, and compare and contrast for me. Because
Sure.
I don't want
No,
to just make that sound like it's nothing because it's
it's a
huge
big deal.
evidence.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So this is actually so powerful, and thank you for highlighting it. For all of you that are throwing money towards direct response and lead generation and cold calling and all these activities, even if you win, you lose. Even if you win, you lose. Why? Because the close rates don't carry trust. So you're always going to be floating between this 1 to 3% close rate or less. And only a few exceptions that have mastered the process of rapport building and trust development. And by the way, both of those had an extremely low entry point in pricing with a 3 or 4 hour workshop where they paid to be there, and then it was like a virtual stage and they've gifted trust, so it's almost like you were speaking on stage to get the trust. They had a good model for it, but it was super cost ineffective, right? They were not breaking even on those initial acquisitions, even close, right? So just so you understand that. So the close rates on those conversions from cold and market was on average 3%. We did $3 billion of revenue with 100,000 leads, right? For 320 clients. It's not bad, good number, but that's 97% of opportunities lost. And that's really frustrating to me.
Mhm.
Comparatively, on the referral side, these stats are from Forrester and all the big research groups.
Mhm.
I just did a new one today. So I have a really robust research report on all the history of trust and the impact of trust on referrals and conversions and
Hmm.
everything. And the standard numbers range from various things, but in short, you're gonna the three main areas is you're gonna improve your conversion rates. I have ranges from 16 to 50% improvement on conversion rates. So on average, referrals close at a 30 to 70% range. It's the range of conversion. Even at the lowest end, that's 100 times more than what cold market does, right? Then
Hmm.
on average, you'll see a bump of 16 to 30% on the deal size. So your average deal size goes up significantly. And then so we did conversion rate, deal size, and then sales cycles. Typically by anywhere from 30 to 50%, they shrink. So if it was 6 months, now it's going to be 3 to 4 months. That's significant in cash flow, right? And so when we would see, an average of 50% close rates across our referrals from our clients sharing us what their conversion rates on referrals were, the question that was then, well, how do you scale referrals? You can't, right? I sold against referrals forever. It's like, they're great. Don't stop doing them. They're amazing, right? But you can't predict when they come and you can't predict how to scale them. Well, and that's what our
Hmm.
Deep Trust operating systems fix, right? Our training program to build a predictable referral pipeline is mastered through building the right ecosystem or the right trust infrastructure. Deep Trust AI is here to help make sure that you don't lose those contacts, you don't lose those relationships, and you stay authentically engaged with the people that matter most to you. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Um, there was an element that we used to study indefinitely, um, not only of the positive rates, but the backlash and the boomerang that happens when you violate trust or you violate um, authenticity. What's your experience with that, and how do you think the deep trust AI technology might mitigate some of that so that we're not, the Hippocrates always said first do no harm.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're doing anything inauthentically, then you're already up a creek. You know what I mean? Like that's manipulation, not trust. If you are doing it from trust, and that is the centerpiece from which your business is operating from, then there is my recent research. I gotta pull up the exact number, but loyalty
Mhm.
increases by 18% on average, which is interesting, right? So they stay longer, they're more loyal, they're more forgiving, and they're also more willing to work through challenges. That's very available research.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think that's the ultimate answer for what you just shared.
Hmm.
I think that's what we're really looking at is um, deep authenticity solves most problems, right? And transparency. That's pretty much
Hmm.
it. And if it, I mean, I had a really good friend at the end of our last company, running email marketing. AI came through and started being the spam monitoring systems for Google and Microsoft. So over the
Hmm.
last 3 years, the response rates went from what I shared, right? I was getting 15 to 25% response rates. The best that we could possibly get with once those tools were implemented was like 2 to 3% response rates. It was absolutely horrendous. And of the responses, only when we would drop from a 25% positive meeting rate down to a 10% of the responses. So it was like a double whammy. And this
Yeah.
cost effectiveness wasn't there. But what has ended up happening is that the authenticity of how those companies are going out to market is continued to deteriorate over time. Like if you have a company that's out there, what they would do is they'd set up 1,000 inboxes and send three a day from each one as a way to get around the spam. Well, you think,
Right.
AI is not that stupid. It's pretty smart, and it pretty much is monitoring habits, trends, and similarities. So even if you have every message is unique, and every single inbox, that every single email is customized with clay.com and these tools that are helping those companies try to figure out how to break the system, it's not authentic. So now you're actually hurting your brand by using clay, using these technologies and going out to market with your brand. What the hell are you doing? And even if you do crack the code, you don't have trust, so you're going to convert
It.
such a
Yeah.
small amount. It's like asinine. It's like good for you guys. You got it sorted out. And
Yeah.
I was going down that path, and then I had this research, and the research uh, Kimberly came from when we decided to close down the old practice because I wanted to move into this trust infrastructure space, and but I needed some proof. So we researched 1,000 companies that sold for over 50 million in the last 4 years since COVID.
Mhm.
And what we wanted to find out is what was the most common uh, marketing sales thing that they did to grow, right? 99% of them had a predictable referral source. Think of that. 30% had a successful sales system. I was like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, but 99%.
Had that sold for over 50 million
Yeah.
had a predictable referral system. Now, a lot of them might have been like IT services firms with a partnership with Microsoft or some things like that. They weren't all different ways of having a source, but they had a channel partner or some kind of association that got them consistent referrals. Why? It's
Yeah,
the
that's
only
brilliant.
organic model. I want to contrast that with I had I had probably about 15 companies over my window of time that got bought by private equity firms while we were servicing them. Okay.
Mhm.
And they all did the same exact thing. Okay. So they were bought and they were getting traction with our program, or at least perceived traction, right? Big
Mhm.
pipeline.
Yeah, yeah.
So they would come in, they would fire the sales head of sales, fire the whole sales staff,
Right, right.
restructure the whole system, and say we need better organic growth. Okay, this the word is organic growth, right?
Yeah,
Which
it
is
was trendy.
right trendy. So they would hire a CRO, hire a VP of sales, hire 10 BDRs, which is business development reps that cold call basically. They give
Right.
them Zoom info, a whole bunch of data, and say, hey guys, go pound sand, good luck. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they'd spend 5 million bucks on this team, and then 9 months later they'd fire everybody. Say our new organic growth strategy is acquisition. So we're going to go buy companies. Why? Because we're in a trust deficit marketplace. All B2B companies, they don't have, like, if you're a B2B company, you tell me, I'd love to know what they are. Most B2B companies' entire growth strategy is go to events, shake some hands, do good old school networking. That's it. Right? Or hire a connected sales guy that we can tap out his network until it's gone and then we'll let him go. Right? Like, that's like basically it. There's no email marketing. There's no cold calling. There's no SEO. SEO might have some play at the lower level tiers, but if you're selling a mid or higher level service or solution that needs like a executive engagement to get a deal, your deal flow is coming through referrals and networking, right? Maybe it's speaking or
Definitely.
some things like that. There may be a thing that you figured out, like, hey, I can have these like lunch and learns or something that you have uniquely figured out. Good, and kudos to you. But the most powerful thing for scale is building an ecosystem of trusted advisors that can give you referrals to the market that they influence, have authority with, trust, and access to. And that's the best way to create scaled organic growth. And so I saw that and I'm like, wow, what a story. This is the same old story time and time again. So what we're facing is an epidemic in the B2B marketing world of they don't have a solution for scale growth. They don't. They just hope they can hire enough sales guys to make ends meet. So most companies are landing and expanding. That's their primary strategy. Or they have a renewable contract and they're just kind of staying steady state or dropping in revenues over the last couple of years because of this issue, right? There's not a lot of solutions or options. We are a fresh and new option to the market on the growth side. The growth side's our operating system. And then our enhancement side, right? This is why a lot of the big companies are after us is what happens if you have a trust network of say 200 or 300 people, but you haven't really engaged most of them. Most of them don't know what you want or need or what you're trying to achieve, but you add a deep trust AI technology into their world, and now all of a sudden they're authentically engaging a couple hundred people all the time. They're interested in helping each other win. Do you think you might get 3 to 5 referrals a year out of that network? Probably, right? So if you
That
had 10,000 salespeople, what does that equate to? Like if you have 100,000 like one of
noise.
our, right?
Just noise.
No, no, those referrals are good. Like they know exactly what you want, and you're going to get 3 to 5 more high quality referrals from that network specifically to what you want because they have trusted access and authority to those peers that you need access to, you're going to get 3 to 5 more referrals per sales rep per year at a bare minimum by just managing your network more powerfully. Bare minimum. Now, what the reality is it's likely going to be 20 to 30 referrals a year from really being intentional about looking it up. And guess what? DT, your trust assistant, is going to help you do that. You don't have to do anything. You just have a little chat with her and she'll manage that for you, right? And that's going to show up. So, from an enterprise perspective, it's an enormous lift. You know, there's 87% network blindness amongst professionals. What that means is, Kimberly, you don't know who I know, and I don't know who you know, but there's somebody in your network, probably a lot of people in your network, and probably a lot of people in my network that could drastically help each other for
Yeah,
services, business, talent, investment, any of those things, right?
for
But,
sure.
but we're network blind to each other.
Oh
87%
yeah,
of the market is fully network blind. Forrester, I think it was, said that's $88 billion of lost opportunity that's just not getting realized year over year just because
hmm
of network blindness. Deep Trust AI fixes that.
love that. I'm going to give you another quote. This is Aristotle.
Okay.
So I don't know if you realize, but all of the legends technology comes through Aesop and Aristotle. Because
Oh, all right.
Aesop of Aesop fables was Aristotle's hero.
I love that. Beautiful.
Okay, so here's Aristotle. In his ethical works, so ethos is the Latin form of trust.
Hmm.
So in Aristotle's world, he had logos, which is logic,
Yep.
pathos, which is emotion, and ethos, which is trust, which gives us all of this framework that we now speak in the modern world of ethics and ethical behavior. It's all trust and trustworthy. So his comment is that trustworthy character, one, and consistent action, two, are what justify placing confidence or trust in another person.
Say it again. Yeah, that's great.
So this is Aristotle on ethos. Trustworthy character and consistent action are what justify placing confidence in another person.
Yeah.
Modernize that to deep trust AI.
Authenticity equals character, right? Consistency equals what was the second thing he said?
Character and consistent action.
Consistency. Yeah. So consistency and reliability, those three things. Same thing. Exactly the
Yeah.
same thing, different words. Yeah. That's beautiful.
So, from what I heard you just say, and the data that you've collected, the trustworthy character, I think that exists. What I don't, where the hole I see in the market is, and where I see the play for Deep Trust AI, is that the consistent actions have become inconsistent because of the
Fear
attempt
volume.
to be everything to everyone,
Yeah.
when the value comes in targeting a small network, small, I mean,
Smaller.
smaller, but larger than what we used to have, and really enjoying. I don't want to say exploiting because that has such negative
No, no,
connotations,
no, no. It's not
but enjoying and engaging with one another in ways that really change the world.
Yeah, because you're one relationship away from changing the world. All of us are, our own world or the world external. Because there's a relationship out in the market right now that if you had that relationship and they fully believed in you, would change your life forever, right? I've always believed that. Even in my last company, we were about that strategy. We had actually the event we went to, Kimberly, right? I mean, my marketing strategies introduced Vince and Satyan. And so that then culminated in this beautiful event that we've all attended and hundreds of founders and advisors and investors and created this really great ecosystem from one relationship that would never have otherwise found each other, most likely, right? From very different walks of life. And it's very transformative for them. So I love what you said, though. I think that you're spot on. Authenticity's pretty much always been there for those that are authentic. They're pretty authentic. The
They
challenge
just
that we
are, or they
face,
aren't. right?
Yeah, yeah, they are. They are. Or maybe there's a gray area, and they are with some and
Well, or
not with
they are
others.
to this category of people and they are not to this one. It really depends. Like in our world, it depends. Do you share the same hero? Do you
Yeah,
support the same causes? Do you fight against the
right.
same enemies? Are the bad guys in your world the same bad guys as my world? Because then we're probably going to be good partners.
Right, right. And so people have their ecosystems, right, that they want to be authentic with, and they have others they don't care to be authentic with. And so,
Yeah.
but the I don't know if that's true authenticity, but maybe it is. So from each point of view, but I
I
think
think
where
it's
we
the best level of authenticity because you know who you are not and you know who does not fit into your ecosystem. And so you cease the attempt to be everything for everyone and accept that there is a small network of people that you really care about, that you really have influence with. And because of that, you value them more. I think
yeah,
that's more authentic.
I love that. That's a really great perspective. I think you're also right on the secondary piece, which is we have a ecosystem of people we deeply care about that's beyond our capacity. You ask any professional, any executive, they're like, here's the question I asked at the event, right? Which is, what's the value of your professional network, right? What is yours, Kim?
It's infinite.
It's infinite, it's priceless,
It's
right?
just infinite. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I asked the second question, which is out of the people that you care most about out of that network, like the ones that you'd take your, the shirt off your back for, you'd really do anything for. And then the second tier beyond that, that still you really care deeply about, maybe not as deeply. And then the tier right after that. All of these people, these kind of three levels of tiers, you really want to stay engaged with. If you engage and nurture those relationships, who knows? Some of them will become your deepest relationships, some might move out, but there's this like ecosystem of maybe 100, 200, 300, maybe some people are 500, maybe some are 50, but whatever that number is for you, okay? Think of those people. And then do you treat the last person in that group the same as the first? No, we don't. We can't. It's too many
Mhm.
people, right?
Yeah.
So we authentically want to engage and check in and send a text and say, "Hey, how you doing?" But as especially the busier you get, the harder that becomes. But if you had a
Mhm.
technology that could support you in being consistently enabled to be authentic, that's what Trust AI does. Deep Trust AI does that for you. And so it's your assistant in your pocket that says, hey, today you need to check up with Bill, Sally, and Joe. You haven't talked to them in 3 months. It's time to send a text. Here's something to send. Here's what's going on in the world. Would you like to send this? Would you like to edit it? Or would you like to just send them something on your own? Boom, done. That's it. Like now you don't, now you've done your authentic engagement. You've been consistent. You've been reliable, and you really mean it. And guess what's going to happen? Really great conversations are going to show up for you. Really great opportunities are going to show up more consistently, and you just don't know where they're going to come from.
Yeah, I love that. So, one of the things that I hear a lot in the space of new AI tools, new AI businesses, concepts is that very adjective of new. And I want to debunk that a little bit. Well, actually, a lot, because developing trust is the most ancient of concepts.
Yeah.
And all you've got is a new mechanism, a new technology that makes it better.
Yeah, we're an enablement platform, right? We're
There we
here
go.
to enable your ability to be more deeply and more authentically connected with the people you care most about. That's what it is. Is it new?
Mhm.
No, it's not new, right? Are we like there's technologies out there also, Kim, like there's personal relationship management tools. There's like referral systems and tools out there
Mhm.
for those things. Our system does all that, yeah, but that's not the centerpiece. The centerpiece is trust management, right? Trust enablement. How do that is the center of everything. I don't want your 10,000 contacts from LinkedIn in the system. You can import them, but you're going to have to pick two or 300 of them to put into a network status and then be managed the right way. Like you can't manage all of your network, all of your contacts. Let's reframe that. All of your contacts cannot be managed in the system. You have to select your deepest trust networks out of that. And then that's where the magic starts.
Love that. Okay, so I want to wrap up. I want to give you one final quote from Aristotle because Aristotle ranked ethos as the number one element in any type of rhetoric, any type of persuasion, any type of movement. Ethos is the core of all of it. So he says, um, speakers persuade most effectively when they appear to have a good character because audiences trust people who seem prudent, virtuous, and benevolent. Persuasive ethos is not mere image crafting, but rests on the impression of genuine moral character displayed in speech. So, what I like about the tool is not that it replaces our interactions, but that it actually makes them more you because when you train your artificial intelligence to think and sound like you, it's usually going to be a lot more effective than farming that out to a whole lot of different people because now you lose control over the people that you care most about. They're getting messages that just don't sound like you, that don't know anything about them. And it's so obvious that it backlashes on you. So,
I
from the most simplistic form, what would Aristotle advise businesses that are seeking a B2B solution to improve their trust network? What would he advise?
use Deep Trust AI. I mean, I don't know of any tools out there. Are tools that are communication systems for your personal network, but they're aiming to be a CRM for your, they're trying to automate your authenticity, and you can't. As soon as you try to automate any authenticity, you've lost all authenticity. And, that goes back to Da Vinci's quote, right? You'll be betrayed. And if, as soon as you try to automate stuff, like I had a friend's like, well, I automate my notes to my wife on their birthday every year. I'm like, you're an idiot, first of all, and you're not going to be married
Right.
forever. Like, it's just the bottom line, right? Like, could you imagine if she found out and saw your automation system and it was like, oh, you
Dead.
thought of me, and then she found
Nope.
out that was automated? Like, what kind of whap? Wow! I just couldn't imagine the amount of slap I would get
Bad
from
move.
something like
Bad
so.
move.
Bad move. Don't tell me that. I didn't want to know. Ah,
No,
right.
erase that.
So, look, we are in a automated world, and if you don't have time to review a pop-up with a recommended text that's authentic and in your voice, to either send, edit, or just say, "Hey, I got it," and then send a voice note or something on your own, you're just that's that. Then this isn't your tool, right? Like, you're not going to build trust deeply with your market. But if you deeply care about the people you deeply care about, and that are in your circle of influence. I'm talking family, peers, colleagues, investors, clients, past clients, the your college buddies, your high school buddies, like whatever that is for you. Like, I'm terribly disappointed that I haven't talked to my best man in my wedding in probably 5 years. Right? I'm
Mm,
like, what? What am I like? Man, we have like, I don't have, just to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on in your world? Like, I just want to know, like, how's the kids? I know that he got divorced because I saw it on Facebook. I know these things, right? But we've
yeah.
not had the chance to just jam because it's been too hard because it's stuck in a Facebook setting, and I don't have his new phone number, so it's off the fast way to connect model. So if you take an ecosystem, and one thing I didn't really talk about, but when you take all of your communication resources, now we have lots, right? Text,
We
email,
do. We
we have
do.
Facebook, we have WhatsApp, we got Signal, you got whatever other tools are being used, and then social on top of it, LinkedIn Messenger and others, that
Mm,
communications are happening. You need a central hub for the people you care most about so you can see what's going on in their world in a unified location. And so DT, your assistant, helps you set that up, helps get that organized so that you don't need to be chaotic in your approach to how you interact with your core network. And if you want to visualize it, you can say, Hey DT, can you pull up Dr. Kimberly Bonnickson's profile for me so I can just see what our engagements have been over the last and which platforms? And then it just
Oh,
shows
I
up.
didn't know that part.
Yeah, it's a
That's
really
brilliant.
so thank you. It's a really great feature. And so that's in process, but it requires a lot of trust. I mean, do you really want all of your stuff in one location like that? And our answer is that, we have a trust manifesto. We have a dedication and commitment to you as a user that is transparent, it's authentic, that if there's data that needs to be shared, that you'll know about it and you'll be notified. And if there's any revenues coming from that, that you'll share in that. So there's all kinds of really cool things that we're building for the trust. And it's going to go way beyond what I'm even imagining right now. I already know that, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to help people be more authentically connected.
Okay, so give me one last closing line that would stand the test of time. So put yourself in an Aristotle and Christ and Plato and Socrates, Da Vinci moment. Like, what could you say about trust that would be true thousands of years ago and true thousands of years from now?
Hmm. I would say that the trust isn't about quantity, it's about quality. And the deeper you build trust with the people you care most about, the happier you'll find yourself in life and in business.
They would like that.
Yeah.
I think
Thank
your heroes would approve.
that was, yeah, thank you. That's a
Love
good
that.
question. Good question.
These are the voices rising through time. Truth in the rhythm, fire in the line. From silence to signal, from echo to flame. Legends don't whisper, they rise with a name. Voices of legends. This is the UpCast. 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 Voices of legends. This is the UpCast.